So we're going to move swiftly on. We've got Stege, Bojer and Bryan, Szabo. And we're going to be talking about Made to Fade, I believe, now, which is great conversation to finalize our day on. Last but not least, gentlemen, I hope we're still all here. So I'll give the virtual stage to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This is great.
So yeah, thank you for having us. Yeah, well, you just briefly introduced us, but my name is Thomas. I'm the founder of Denimhunters. We'll get more into that. We have a little talk here for you to round this day off. I hope you've had fun so far. Sadly, we can't see all you participants out there, but I brought this one to the show here since we're in Amsterdam. I thought this would be fitting, and it is past 5 o'clock, which in my world is beer o'clock. So maybe I'll be sipping that through the talk here. But let me move on to who we are. So first of all, like I said, my name is Thomas. I'm the founder of Denimhunters, which a site I launched over 11 years ago, and that has launched me into a career as a sales and marketing consultant in the denim business. And with me today, I have a good friend of mine, a colleague also, who I've met through Denimhunters. We did a little series of buying guides on the site a year ago. So Bryan, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody. It's again really great to be here, and I know it's getting into the end of the day. You guys have probably been through a lot of presentations, so yeah, we'll make this brief and really passionate for you. But my name is Bryan Szabo. I am the co-founder of the Indigo Invitational, which is the world's largest kind of competitive or fading competition. So everybody starts with raw jeans, 365-day competition. And then best fades win at the end of the competition. So we're just in our third year of that, and we've registered more than 1,000 competitors for the first time. So we're really excited about the year ahead with that. I'm also a writer and editor. Been doing that for about a dozen years now, and kind of stumbled into the world of denim. Is just a great thing to write about the experience of raw denim, and got introduced to Thomas. We did that Well-Made Essentials series, and yeah, we love nothing more than meeting with people who are passionate about denim, want to talk about fades, about well-made selvage, etc. So yeah, we're really excited to talk to you all here today.
So maybe some of you noticed on the opening slide here, I put a little line here, why denim designers shouldn't ignore the raw denim scene, and that might be a little provocative. It's meant to. I mean, we're not. Well, it's not that we think that you're ignoring it, but maybe we're just here to give you a little glimpse into why it's maybe something you should consider being part of if you aren't already. So let's jump back to it here. So just going back and looking at, okay, so why is it that we denim heads, that we call ourselves, love this raw selvage denim so much? Well, I mean, first of all, for me, there's the history. So it's how it all started years ago. I mean, centuries ago, and up until the middle of the last century. I mean, it was the only option. That's the kind of jeans you could wear. You could buy them, of course, secondhand, but if you bought new jeans, they were all raw. So those were really the glory days, and I'd love to go back to that time, I guess. And then, I mean, the second point there is also that it remains the only option for serious denim aficionados, and we'll talk a bit more about that in the next slides. But I think really it's also because of the way that it fades, unlike anything else. I mean, we love this denim, this fabric, because it evolves unlike any other fabric, and I think a lot of, especially guys, find a sort of a home in that community that exists around it, sort of a brother sisterhood that exists around that. So and yeah, I mean, Bryan, I don't know if you want to add anything here.
Yeah, well, it's prized for how it fades, and it's engineered to fade. This is why one of the many reasons we think that this is kind of the most exciting space in the denim industry. is because these products are made to develop and to change with the wearer, kind of co-journey with them, change as they are worn more and change according to your lifestyle. Really kind of wear the fingerprint of your lifestyle all over them, and there's nothing like that in kind of mass market denim, which has been faded for the consumer beforehand. The last presentation was about these kind of sustainable practices on the manufacturing side, and one of the most difficult ones to make sustainable is this the fading process, when you're distressing it in the factory, and we think that you should leave that to the consumer. It's a more rewarding process, and the brands that can then really throw their engineering might into making a great product that is engineered to fade and puts all of that practice into the hands of the consumer. That's one of the things that makes it a really exciting a place to be in, as both a consumer and those on the manufacturing side as well.
Yeah. Right. So so this next slide here is maybe just Bryan and I are going to riff a bit about how we got into it, because I think it's really at least for me and I think for a lot of denim heads who are into raw denim, it all starts with this why does denim actually fade? I remember asking that question. I was working in a store and I was selling jeans. We sold raw denim jeans, and I didn't know much about it. This was some 15 years ago or so, and I was telling consumers not to wash their jeans and wear them for 6 months and all of this stuff that we still hear today, and that made me sort of and often consumers would ask why is that really, and that sort of got me down that rabbit hole of asking those questions and exploring that information. And back in those days it was a little harder to find, and that's really the start of Denimhunters and the other blogs that evolved at that time. So I think that's really how it all starts for a lot of us. And Bryan, I don't know, what do you feel about that?
Well, it's I have a similar origin story. I went out and had my first experience with raw denim. I wasn't selling it, but I was just on a consumer side, and became just really interested in how it was evolving on my body. I went traveling with a pair of Naked and Famous jeans, and by the time I came back after a long kind of journey in Europe here, came back to Canada, the jeans were completely different. They looked like nothing else I had in my wardrobe, and I just wanted to keep wearing them, and I wanted to go through the process again. And then years later, after I'd been through the process a few times, I started the Indigo Invitational, because I wanted more people to go through that full process. I was seeing a lot of brand new pairs of this is really beautiful stuff. You can see in the slide there, just a stacked pair of this denim. The denim itself is beautiful. It's textured. It's dark. It's heavy. So it's very attractive when you put it on your body for the first time. But you don't really experience the full raw denim experience until you've been through that whole process, which takes at least about a year to get a pair right to the point where you really want them. And I was seeing a lot of people sharing pictures of brand new raw denim, and they were showing it off the way you would show off a Gucci handbag, or they were kind of really proud of how big their collection was, and they didn't have a lot of really great fades. I wasn't seeing it, at least in the community that I was part of. So I wanted to encourage people to go through this process, and the best way to do that was to start a competition, and that as soon as I did that, we had like 50 people joined up right away, and then by the end of that first year, we had 115 competitors for that year-long process, and it helped encourage that full experience, and by being in that community, by kind of leading this competition, that helped take me further and further and further and further down that rabbit hole. And you can go as deep as you want to go. As soon as you start exploring it, you can just around the margins, around the edges. It's really interesting. And if you just let yourself fall down that hole, especially if you go through the experience yourself, there's no telling where you'll end up. You'll just go deeper and deeper and deeper. It's an incredible world.
Yeah, and so I mean, and that's also what we wrote here on the slide. You know, that understanding the process of it lets you understand the attraction. So I think that's, you know, the process of how denim fades and why it does. You know, obviously as aspiring denim designers, you study this and you know about this, but I think also experiencing it firsthand, if you haven't tried that, I think that's the best way to really to help you you know, understand the attraction of it, right? So if we move on here, so I mean, and we're already talking a bit about, so what can you learn and how can you benefit from knowing about and joining the raw denim community? So I think maybe we already we touched upon it a little bit, but I think there are some, I mean, this is where I wrote the deepest denim emotions live, because this is where there's, I think, having been part of not only the raw denim community, but also the wider denim industry for some years, consulting and meeting a lot of people, I think this, I mean, and with no disrespect at all, but there's just so much love in raw denim because it's much more than a job. It's, I mean, for those who work with it, it's really a lifestyle. So it sort of consumes you in a way that, you know, like a true hobby, a true passionate hobby, right? That you know, it's you really can get sucked into it. So and that's also, I think, the second point there, you know, and that maybe Bryan, you can talk a bit more about this, but and then meeting other denim lovers. I mean, sort of meeting friends from around the world that you never met before, but you can share this passion, right? So
absolutely.
I think,
yeah, you don't have to speak the same language. This is one of the things that we've seen a lot in the Indigo Invitational. And again, I'll encourage everybody who's watching to kind of join this community, you know, when we're done this presentation. But we saw very early that there was especially in the second year, there was a big jump in the numbers of people who were joining from Thailand, from Indonesia, from Malaysia, and some from the Philippines. We got like some from South America this year, all over Europe. And we're still trying to reach into Japan. We got a big boost this year in Japan. And they speak a common language of denim love. It does. You can share the pictures of your developing product, which is changing just a little bit every single day, and that's all you need. And you're speaking the same language as the person who's watching maybe your videos or your pictures that you're sharing of this product. And we've managed to build this incredibly warm and receptive and really appreciative community around this denim love, which you can share just by sharing pictures of your jeans as they're developing, which it's more difficult to do that with a product that is faded for you. If you're showing off your new pair of jeans, it's going to be the same the next day as it is the day before that. Whereas these made to fade products, it opens up a space of conversation, which you can have that conversation just with pictures. So it's an incredible community, really warm and embracing. I'm really glad to be a part of it.
And I mean, and Bryan, while we were sort of preparing earlier for this presentation, we also talked a bit about this, that, I mean, from having visited, you know, also laundries and seeing how pre-washed jeans are actually made and understand, you know, knowing the history of how it evolved in the 70s and 80s and later as well. You know, I think obviously at least the most pre-washed jeans, they're inspired by, you know, jeans that were raw and then faded by a human. So that's where the inspiration comes from. And I think that, you know, again, experiencing that yourself, if you haven't tried it, go out and commit to a pair of jeans, maybe for a year, maybe join the invitational and just really immerse yourself into it and experience it. And maybe also, Bryan, I think time is flying fast. We talked. You said that this would be like gone by in a second, but I think we wrote here a glimpse into the future of denim consumerism.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, what is that really? What are we thinking about there?
Well, I think we could see more interest in this world that we're kind of representatives for today, because in the last point on the slide here, this is authentic and sustainable, and because there's no fading process involved in it. The manufacturers still have a lot of heavy lifting to do on the sustainability side, but the consumer is brought into this sustainability loop, right? That the product is hopefully made in a sustainable way, but then it's also used in a sustainable way, and that really helps close that circle, so that the consumer has something and says, well, I'm going to wear this same pair of jeans for 365 days in a row, and in that time I'm only going to wash it maybe 2 or 3 times. Maybe they wash it 5 or 6 times. Maybe they don't wash it at all, over the entire year. And it's almost accidentally sustainable, because they need to do that to get the product to perform in the way they want to. But also, if they have that sustainability kind of at their heart, that's why they've been brought to this community, that it answers all those questions for them. It really kind of ticks all those boxes for them.
And
so,
like we talked about, it's also really that you I mean, the fact that you wear them for a long time, I mean, and then not stock your closet with a stacks like what we saw before of new jeans, because that's really also, I mean, it's about consuming slowly, and
slowly.
wearing.
Yeah. That's
really what it is, I guess. So
and we've got the potential right now for it to have another. It had selvage denim had a bit of a moment, at the end of the 90s, early part of the 2000s. There, it had a bit of a kind of a moment in the sun. But it's still been going on. There's still people, we're still getting new converts, every year to this. But I feel we're poised on the edge of something that, by showing people how beautiful this product can be once it's faded authentically by the individual themselves, that your attachment to that pair of jeans at the end of the process is like nothing else in your denim wardrobe.
Okay. So, I think we're nearing the end sort of our presentation here, at least considering the time slot we were given. So I'll just go. This is the last slide, and I'll leave it there while maybe we have, if there are any questions, anything. These QR codes will take you to a website where you can learn more about what we do, read about, join. I mean, actually. So year 3 for the invitational just started on April 1st, yeah. And actually you have closed registrations already, but
I can talk about that very briefly here. So the QR code, you can scan that. That'll take you to our website, the Indigo Invitational. Registrations have technically closed, but I want to offer anybody who's watching here an opportunity to just come in, send me a message, or just submit raw proof on the website. If you're confused about what that means, it's all explained on the website. But you can reach out to me on Instagram. That's the best way you can get in touch with us. So send us a message on Indigo Invitational. That's you can find that spelled there. So just reach out on Instagram, and we'll make sure we can get you in here, because it is, as Thomas said, it's the best way to kind of understand what this whole world is all about and what the appeal is by doing it yourself. So start with a brand new pair of raw denim. Start next week or this week, if you can even do it, and then take them for that full 365 days and see what you can do, and you'll be hooked. there's no doubt.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. Great to be able to also partake in the competition still. That was a really nice addition. And also, I had a question on that maybe as well. We were talking about how you become more sustainable by obviously having raw denim, wearing raw denim and seeing the fading process. But does it affect other aspects of your life that you've become more sustainable because you're into your raw denim?
It is simply in the fashion, because the whole it's an ecosystem, right? The world of well-made selvage denim connects to the world of well-made, boots and well-made shirts, the well-made garments of all kinds. So in my fashion practices, in my fashion consumption, I would say yes, that it's influenced. It's kind of put out tendrils in every direction. In that, whether it's made me like more conscious of like recycling aluminum cans and stuff like that, I wouldn't say more so. I was trying to do those things before as well. So it hasn't made me a more conscious, like citizen, but a more conscious consumer. I would say.
Yeah.
That's nice. And you, Thomas, the same story?
I guess same story. Yeah. I mean, wearing something that lasts long. And I think others in the community might also be a little, that maybe you tend to buy a little too much still of other stuff, because for me, it's I wear jeans, basically at least for a year or so. And so I often get asked how many jeans I own, and it's not actually, I think, more than most people. And I also try to give jeans to friends that have the same size if I don't wear them. But I do have a bit of a shirt addiction, so I may have a few too many shirts, and I'm still working on that. But yeah.
Maybe it's interesting. I haven't read up myself, but how do you win the competition? So is it about the most faded with the wildest stories, or is it about the least faded but with the wildest stories? So
it's definitely closer to most. We have a lot of pairs. You get 10, 11 months in, and you see some pairs that look essentially brand new still. But those are the ones who are they're easing their way into this process. Maybe they're wearing on weekends, or whenever they can, or they're taking steps to make sure that they don't fade. To win the competition, you want to see something dramatic. So the stories play a part in it, but really only if those stories play out on the surface of the denim.
Yeah.
So we love to see somebody who come in and say, oh, this year, for example, new fathers, and hopefully new mothers as well. We've got more women joining the competition this year, which we're really happy about. But especially for new fathers, you see when they are really actively involved in their children's play, they get kind of white patches on their knees. We call those like good dad fades. So
I have those.
yeah, Thomas has those. He was actually the first one that I noticed them on and said, "That's from playing with your kids, isn't it?" Like it's so when you're down there and on your hands and knees playing with the kids, then that tells a story about that year of your life. Before you were a father, maybe you didn't get these white patches on your knees, but we love that kind of stuff.
But as you can hear, Bryan is a great storyteller. I think to answer, just very briefly the question, there's a panel of judges, of professionals that will sort of judge the selection of jeans that has sort of made it to the finals that have been voted there. So so there's a process. It's not random.
So
yeah.
Some Heineken beers hopefully as well added to it. That's
absolutely
nice storytelling. Absolutely. And I have one question, last question from the participants saying, is raw denim and wearing denim and joining the denim community more sustainable?
But I think that's what we talked a bit about already, right? That wearing it depends on how much you buy, really. Of course, denim and raw denim still needs to be it's made from cotton. It's mostly, almost exclusively 100% cotton, because there's this sort of I think for a lot of denim heads, stretch is a no-go. So they want to have the authentic experience, right? And also fits might be a bit, I mean, at least not too skinny. So and then, but it's still cotton, it's still dyed, it's still, and a lot of it is dyed sort of the traditional way. So it might not be using the latest technology in dyeing and such, but I think, I think it's the fact really that, committing to something, buying less, and then wearing it for longer and having something that lasts a long time. And then, so I think in that sense, yes, but of course it's just, you can't go out and just say, oh, I'm only raw denim and then keep buying new jeans every second month. And, that doesn't make a lot of sense, I guess.
Yeah, you need to make the decision to engage in the raw denim community in a sustainable way. If you want raw denim to be sustainable, it has the potential to be more sustainable because the product will last longer. So if the slow fashion kind of life is what you're aiming for, then raw denim should be at the center of your bullseye. It's right there because it's going to last. It's going to develop beautifully. And become something that you're really intensely proud of, that you want to wear every single day. So yes, raw denim has that power, has that potential, and that's where we use the Indigo Invitational to help bring out that potential, to help give that kind of push at people's back, to make them use the product in a sustainable way and get the rewards that come with that.
Yeah, and a great social community talking piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great on it. So, guys, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Ready to finish off. What a great ending. It's been a great afternoon. So thank you for everyone who participated.